Welcome back to it could be a mini episode. I don't want to say emergency podcast because that gets thrown around, and this is no such thing as an emergency. Michelle Agyemang has joined Brighton on loan. We've talked about it for a little while on the Gooner Fanzine Arsenal Women podcast. The language Arsenal have used, I think, in sort of the announcement, Izzy Gilligan sort of saying "see you soon." There's very much everyone settled down. She's going to be back. We're all excited, and I think Arsenal have been very keen to point out that this is just a loan and there's so much more to come from this player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they'd be crazy if they were to sell her or to let her go at this point in her career when all the Arsenal fans can rest assured that she will be back come the end of the season and that she has gone away for her development and to eventually benefit Arsenal in the long run. So I think it's a good decision from Arsenal.
I should point out for those of you watching, for those of you listening, you won't notice this as much. Izzy is in her card, not because I've just shouted at her and said, come and do the podcast. She's just been interviewing a former Arsenal forward in Freya Godfrey at London City Lionesses training ground, of course. I'm sure you asked her about the opening day of the season, London City coming up against Arsenal. So that's why Izzy's in the car. We can touch on that a little bit later. But this decision must have got harder for Arsenal when Agyemang was scoring the goals at the Euros, because I think before that we would have all been content as Arsenal fans for another loan. It can't have been easy once those goals sort of came in the Euros.
Yeah, it can't have been an easy decision, but it wouldn't have been one that they would have taken lightly. They wouldn't have just stuck with their pre-Euros decision of sending her on loan. It would have been something that would have been discussed with the player, with her team, with other members of staff at the club. So I think that that is something that people should understand. It's not going to be a flippant last-minute decision just to send her off because they've got too many people in the squad. It's something that they would have really thought through and decided that it's going to really benefit her and the club. So first and foremost that I think, yeah, I do think it's going to be have been a difficult choice. She's been England's hero, and I think that that's why a lot of people who maybe are new Arsenal fans or something heading into the new season will have gone, oh gosh, I really wanted to see her play in that red and white shirt. But I think that she needs to go and develop her complete game. I think she needs time to to learn how to play, to manage a game and play a full 90 minutes, which we haven't really seen a lot from her. And I think also at Brighton, without Nikita Paris there, she'll have a little bit more chance to play more regularly up front. So I think it makes sense on all fronts, and it'll be a positive thing.
Yeah, because from Arsenal's perspective, if she goes there and sits on the bench and comes on sort of as a cameo, almost as she has done so far, then they will argue, well, she might as well just have stayed at Arsenal. But the reason she's going is because she hopefully is going to be guaranteed to start more games, play, 90 minutes, play more minutes, week in, week out. As you say, I think she will, with Nikita Paris going. Rosa Kafaji going there as well. Quite an exciting link up. They've got some good attacking players, Brighton, and they play football the right way, which is really important. And they finished fifth last year, which I think was their best ever WSL finish. So Arsenal obviously like Brighton as a lone destination.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a great loan destination because they're maybe not a classic, direct competitor, but they are still competing in that league and they are really, really making an impact in the WSL. We've seen them beat Arsenal to a pulp at the end of the season. We've seen them draw against the likes of Chelsea. So I think they are a really, really exciting team and a great place to be part of. They've clearly got a good setup that Arsenal respects it and likes because they're sending Michelle back there, and they're also adding Rosa Kafaji to that list. So yeah, I think it'll be a really exciting season for both of her. Potentially her breakout WSL season, I reckon, which I don't think we've quite seen the full extent of yet.
I have to say, I'm loving the delay between me finishing a question and you answering it. It's like the BBC News have got a correspondent in Moscow and they're putting the finger to their ear and there's that awkward pause. Claire Wheatley. So there was no when you compare this to the Rosa Kafaji, sort of press release. So there were no quotes in that, but this time Claire Wheatley has commented and said, "We're so proud of Michelle's achievements this summer and throughout her journey at Arsenal, from her first steps in our academy through to our first team squad. After discussing closely with Michelle and her family, we have all agreed that this move will provide Michelle with a further opportunity to develop and grow as she continues to progress as a young player and person. We wish Michelle every success at Brighton and look forward to welcoming her back to Arsenal at the end of her loan. Like I say, this isn't language that, say, when Taya Goldie, with a year left on her contract, went on loan. This is not language that is often, thrown around. So Arsenal have been very clear, I think, in sort of their communication here, which is interesting. And Wheatley saying as well, discussing closely with Michelle and her family. I think there can be a perspective where people have, maybe imagine this is a player who, because of the Euros, is now demanding a place in the squad, demanding to play more football for Arsenal. I think Michelle Agyemang has got such a good head on her shoulder and such good people around her that that's very much not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as I said earlier, they will have really discussed it with everyone involved, all parties, and I think that um, also, she clearly had a lovely time at Brighton last season. She had some great performances and she seemed to settle in really well to that squad. And that's where ultimately she ended up getting an England call up off the back of her time at Brighton. So I think that it's probably only a positive place for her. And she's heading back there to former teammates that she's enjoyed playing with and she'll enjoy playing more with and getting more minutes and forming those relationships on the pitch. So I'm sure it was a decision that she's happy with, clearly, and that both clubs and the family are as well.
Brighton manager Dario Vidosic said, "We are thrilled to welcome Michelle back for another season. We loved working with her last year and seeing how much she progressed as part of the squad. What she achieved during the summer with England was incredible but not surprising." That's a line I hear from a lot of people, actually, which is interesting. She has the character, work ethic, and relentless nature of a champion. As a club, we're incredibly proud of her. She was a pivotal part of our record-breaking season last year, and we're excited for what this season looks like with her in our attack. I've spoken to Agyemang's former teammates, and that phrase "not surprised" actually comes up quite a lot. So people who've played with her sort of at a young age, or maybe worked with her behind the scenes, really know what she's capable of, and it can only be exciting. It can't really go. The only way I see it going wrong is if she doesn't play enough football. But I think there's no way you can't give her more minutes than last season. And come next year, if she's ready to be starting for Arsenal or competing, you look at Arsenal's forward line as it is, it's just so exciting. And these decisions, we talk about how tough the decision this might have been to make, but these sort of headaches are great for a successful side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's difficult buying her in the 10, then there may be more versatile who can play her and she'll be wanting to start up front work and make sure that come a year's time or, whenever it is, that she'll be able to be competing for that spot. And it's super exciting, all the young talent Arsenal have. They've got young midfielders, they've got Olivia Smith on the wing, Agyemang. So a couple of seasons' time, they're really securing their future and making sure that they've got that longevity across the pitch. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. We lost you a little bit in that last answer, Izzy, but no worries at all. You've had a busy day. And from my perspective, in terms of any more news, I think we're going to have a fair bit of loan action in terms of younger players. So Cecily Wellesley-Smith and Jessie Gale, I think, are reported about their professional contracts that they've both be going on loan this season. I think both to WSL2 clubs. Layla Harbour in the process of a loan. I'm still gathering information on this, but it's prepared to be a little surprised. My perspective on Layla Harbour, from what I've heard so far, now nothing's close, but it's going to be a slightly different loan destination than before, if what I'm told sort of comes to fruition. So I'm going to try and find out a little bit more on that over the next few days. Maddie Earl, I don't think I've heard anything on. Naomi Williams, I think, is almost certain to go out on loan. And I've probably, Viv Leah as well will also be going on loan. So a lot to watch out for between now and the end of the transfer window. But as you Mang, off to Brighton, we'll be watching her closely, of course. And as someone pointed out to me on Blue Sky earlier, the best news is that she can't play against Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely something that the fans wouldn't want, especially with that kind of impact moment. Because a game against Arsenal can come down to that, where you've got to score a last minute winner, and you really wouldn't want her doing that in the opposite colours. So, yeah, that's definitely a positive.
Well, great stuff, Izzy. Look forward to reading your interview with Freya Godfrey and your coverage as well next week as Arsenal continue their pre-season campaign Wednesday the 27th against West Ham. Please do continue to support the Gooner as well. And we're still a few subscriptions short of the number we want to be by the end of August. So do take out a subscription. They start at £30 for a year-long subscription, the gold subscription, 45, and of course our Champions League winners edition is out as well, and that's £10. It's a larger A4 size, and it's the souvenir edition. We've had some really good feedback as well, Izzy, just finally on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to have gone down really well. I still haven't managed to get my hands on one, but I'll
No.
be definitely getting in the queue to buy one at the pre-season match. So yeah, I can't wait to see it all in full. But obviously I've read a few of the pieces and there's some really great stuff in there. So I'd recommend grabbing one of those while you still can.